Well, that was a ban list. What's up, Duelist? Super Insane 18 here, and today we are going to be bringing you a post-ban list Snake Eye deck profile. Now, those of you that are aware of the ban list we just received are very well aware that it is not a great list, although it does take some steps in the right direction. It definitely did not do enough to change the meta, as I'm going to show you with this deck profile. I still believe that Snake Eye is going to be one of the top contenders, if not the actual top contender itself. So let's go ahead, we're going to show you guys the build, as well as 2 combos at the end of the video. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead and jump on it. To kick off the main deck, we did receive some consistency hits with Snake Eyes Ash and Poplar both going to 1. So our lineup is going to be 1 Ash, 1 Poplar, and 1 Oak. This is going to be pretty much the standard moving forward, but one thing that a lot of players are kind of iffy / on the fence about is the copy of Snake Eye Birch. The reason that I am choosing to run the Snake Eye Birch though is because it does prevent Poplar from being a brick if you open it. Previously, if you only had the 1 Poplar and you needed Ash or something like that, you wouldn't be able to search another card that you can summon, but now you can actually go ahead and search for the Birch as well, not to mention that it does make Poplar a 1-card combo again, because the other 1-card combo with Poplar required you to have a second Poplar, but as long as you have a monster that you can summon, you are able to just fully do the exact same thing you were able to do previously. We are still on our 1 copy of Flamberge and our 1 copy of Snake Eyes Diabellstar. The Flamberge is absolutely crazy. The fact that this card survived another ban list blows my mind. Honestly, this card should have been banned, but as long as it's legal, obviously we are going to play it, and as long as it's legal, Snake Eye is going to remain a top-tier contender. We have our 3 copies of Diabellstar the Black Witch. This is obviously for consistency. Since we lost the consistency, we want to make sure we max out on it. We were maxing out on it anyway, but it's more important now than it has ever been before. Now, moving on to the Fiendsmith package of the deck, this is actually funny because with the banning of Lacrima, Lacrima and Beatrice, Engraver is no longer a 1-card combo. It is more so an extender as well as a combo piece that you don't necessarily need to or want to open, so the deck actually became cheaper because we are only playing 2 copies of Fiendsmith Engraver now. Now, is this correct? I don't know. During testing, it felt like it was correct, and it definitely seems like you don't want to max out on it, again, since it isn't a 1-card combo. But yeah, so the deck is now technically like $100 cheaper, and you'll see what I mean during those combos a little later on in the video. Of course, we still have our 1 copy of the Fabled Lurie, because we are still playing the Tract as an extender, so again, if you open the Fiendsmith, you can still do extension plays, it's just no longer full combo by itself. That's going to do it for the actual monsters. The rest of them are just going to be a very large hand trap lineup, the same that we ran at YCS Sacramento. We are going to be playing 3 copies of Effect Veiler, 3 copies of Ash Blossom. We are on 2 Ghost Ogre and 2 Ghost Mourner. We are still on Bestials with 2 Druis Worm and 1 Magnamut, as well as our 3 copies of Nibiru. So again, just an absolutely massive hand trap lineup because you do need multiple hand traps in order to stop this deck, even with those consistency hits, as I will show you during the combos. But that's going to do it for the monsters. On to the spells. Of course, we have our 3 copies of Wanted, again, just maximizing consistency. We have our 1 Divine Temple and our 1 Original Sinful Spoils, just standard part of the Snake Eye package. We do still have our 1 Tract, followed by our 3 Bonfires, because we do want to make sure that we have more copies of Snake Eye Ash, since we lost them as well. And for what the replacement of the 3rd Engraver was, we are now back on a copy of 1-for-1. This is a 1-card combo, like the Engraver no longer is, so I wanted to max out on the ability to see cards that are able to just push through our game plan. Then onto the traps, we have our 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, and the final trap is going to be the Angel Statue Azarun. This is because we are now playing the Silo Hat Rabbit. We did open up quite a bit of extra deck space with 3 of our cards getting banned, so that's going to be the main deck. Let's show you guys the extra. The extra deck did get quite a few spaces opened up from the ban list, so it is going to look significantly different than the one that I've shown you guys previously. Let's go ahead and get into it. We, of course, still have our fusions with the Necroquip Princess and the Desiree. Necroquip Princess still does allow you to make a rank 6, and Desiree is still just a really good piece of end board, so makes sense that we're still going to run this since we are still on the Fiendsmith package. And then of course for our rank 6 we now play the DDD Wave High King Caesar. This is now your anti-Nibiru card. There's a combo, again, that I will be showing you guys, that you are able to make this before your opponent is able to Nibiru you. Technically, they can Nibiru you, but you will always have Flamberge on field until this is live. So if they Nibiru you, you'll have the token plus the 2 Flamberge summons, and you'll still be able to make a full combo under the Nibiru. So I think it's a really good option now that we no longer have the Appaloosa. Onto the Fiendsmith links, we of course have the Requiem, the Sequence, and the Honorary Moon of the Closed Heaven. Not Fiendsmith in name, but definitely Honorary Fiendsmith. Pretty standard, I don't think I really need to explain those. For the Link 1, we are still on Anima. You do still need it for the 1-card Poplar combo. And then we also have our Hida, the Fire Charmer, because it is still going to be a fire-based format. We are on our IP and our SP, just generic good Link 2s, and IP is still part of the end board, so the SP does become 2 interruptions during your opponent's turn. And then the last of the Link 2s, we of course have our Nightmare Phoenix and our Silo Hat Rabbit. Nightmare Phoenix is the flex spot that the deck has. This can honestly be anything. I opted for the Phoenix because it fits in theme with fire, meaning that you can get yourself out of a princess lock in a niche scenario, but also just being able to potentially draw as well as pop back row is very, very important. And the Silo Hat Rabbit can not only pop back row, but also get you the Azure Rune, which is another interruption as well. On to our only Link 3, we are on Promethean Princess. We are no longer playing the Selene in this deck because without the Appaloosa, it doesn't really feel as good, and like you can argue that you want to play it for the access code, but we're no longer playing access code either. Instead, we reverted back to the Raging Phoenix and the Zealantis FTK or OTK, just because it is really important to be able to out your Promethean Princess lock, so having a Link 4 Fire that you can make is incredibly strong. So that's going to be it for the extra deck. Let's get into those combos. And one quick thing before we talk about those combos, don't forget that the Popular Monsters Metal Field Center is still available for purchase on InsaneTCG.com. Obviously, Diabellstar did not get hit, and while Poplar did, it is still legal at 1, so this is a really cool way to continue showing your support for Snake Eyes as well as the Wanted package, and of course it is just incredible art. A Metal Field Center, it feels super premium, it looks super nice. Make sure you pick yours up now because it is a limited quantity. So for both of these combos, they are going to be a 1-card combo, which you might be asking why we then have 6 cards on our field, and that is to show you guys what the math adds up to. With our 1 Ash, 1 Poplar, 3 Witch, 3 Wanted, 3 Bonfire, and 1 1-for-1, that equates to a total of 12 starters, which in my deck, which is a 42 card deck, means that you have an 83% chance of seeing a 1-card starter. Not to mention all of the potential 2-card combos that exist in the deck, but I do just want to showcase the 1-card combos. So again, starting with any of these cards, an 83% chance you can perform both of these combos, so let's show you guys how it is going to work. We are just going to show you guys how you start with the Snake Eye Ash. I'm pretty sure you guys are smart enough to figure out how the other ones work since they just bridge you into the Snake Eye Ash anyway. So we are going to go ahead and normal summon out our Snake Eye Ash. This is going to allow us to add our copy of Poplar from our deck to our hand, which of course then activates Poplar's effect to summon itself. Here the Poplar will activate its on-summon effect, allowing us to add us our copy of Divine Temple, which we can go ahead and immediately activate. Using the Divine Temple, we will take the Snake Eyes Diabellstar from our deck, place it face up in our Spell and Trap zone, and then we can use the effect of Ash to send itself and the Diabellstar. This is going to allow us to summon one from deck. In this case, it is going to be the copy of Oak. Here, Oak will activate its effect, allowing us to summon out our Snake Eye Ash back from our grave, and now we are not only set up to fully combo, but also make it so that there is never an optimal moment for our opponent to Nibiru us. Here we are going to go and use the Snake Eye Oak effect, and unfortunately we do have to use it to get rid of our field spell, which does kind of make playing around certain cards like Cosmic Cyclone a little bit more threatening, so just keep that in mind, but you need to do this to ensure that you keep the right number of monsters on your board. But of course, this is going to allow Oak to summon out our copy of Flamberge. And now that Flamberge has hit the field as summon number 4, any point from here on out that our opponent would be able to Nibiru us, the Flamberge will be able to activate, allowing us to summon back 2 of our monsters. our 2 monsters plus the 1 token will equate to full combo yet again, so we are able to just fully play through it. We will take the Poplar and the Ash. This is of course going to link off into our Moon of the Closed Heaven, bridging us into the Fiendsmith aspect of the deck, but do not forget that we have to also activate the effect of Poplar and Graveyard. We are going to target the Snake Eyes Diabellstar and place it back in our spell trap zone. Now we are going to go ahead and link off the Moon into our copy of Requiem, and then of course we can use the Requiem effect to go ahead and summon out our Fiendsmith from our deck. Here we will take the Requiem Engrave and use its effect to equip itself to our Fiendsmith, and then now we have the materials that we need in order to perform the fusion summon of Necroquip Princess. Now that Necroquip Princess is on the field and is a level 6, we can use our Graveyard effect of Engraver, summoning itself back by shuffling back either the Moon or the Requiem as cost. Does not matter which one you do, but now we are actually just going to flat out overlay into our copy of Wave High King Caesar. Now we have Wave High King Caesar on the field, we are no longer able to be Nibiru'd, meaning that we can go ahead and finally bridge off into additional Snake Eye plays. Using the effect of Snake Eyes Diabellstar, we are going to target the Oak to place it in our spell trap zone and summon out the Snake Eyes Diabellstar. Now, I do just want to take a quick tangent here to talk about the Oak. Previously, because you would have both Flamberge and the field spell live, you would actually be able to utilize the Oak. Unfortunately, in this timeline, you are no longer able to do that because we no longer have our field spell. The reason we are choosing specifically Oak is because on our opponent's turn, we want to make sure that we summon back the Ash and the Poplar, because those are the strongest follow-ups that we can have, and I'll explain that as we get a little bit further into the combo. But now that we have 2 additional monsters with the Snake Eyes Diabellstar and the Flamberge, we are going to go ahead and link those off into our copy of IP Masquerena. With the IP Masquerena now on field, we can go ahead and activate the Flamberge effect because it was just linked away. This will, of course, summon back our Ash and our Poplar to our side of the field. Here we can take the IP and either of these 2 monsters, linking them off into our copy of Promethean Princess, and then Promethean Princess is going to be able to, of course, reborn out our Flamberge, and once Flamberge hits the field, we can go ahead and use its effect to place our IP Masquerena in our spell and trap zone. The final move that we need to make is to get out of this pesky Firelock, as well as putting the Princess in Graveyard, so we can utilize its Graveyard effect. We are going to link it away with the 1 other monster that we have, and this is going to go into the Raging Phoenix, and we can pass our turn. Now, this board is definitely not as strong as previous boards, but it still does equate to quite a few interruptions. Of course, we have our 2 special summon negates with the effect of Wave High King Caesar. We still have the Flamberge, which can reborn out our IP Masquerena, allowing us to go into something like SP Little Knight for an additional 2 interruptions on top of the follow-up that Flamberge is going to get us. The Princess is live in the Graveyard for an additional interruption as well, not to mention both the Ash and the Poplar will be able to get us into follow-up like the original Sinful Spoils, and since we are playing Birch, the Ash can go ahead and search the Birch, and then of course we still also have the ability of Poplar, if it goes to Graveyard, to replace our Snake Eyes Diabellstar, which does function as an additional extender. So if my math is not wrong, I believe that's 6 interruptions plus guaranteed follow-up with 4 cards still left in our hand, so let's show you guys combo number 2. And for our second combo, again, it is a 1-card combo utilizing any of those 12 starters that I spoke about before combo number 1, which, again, to remind you, is an 83% chance of you being able to do this. So let's show you guys how it works. We are, again, just starting with the Snake Eye Ash for simplicity's sake. This end board will be a little bit better, have more interruptions, and those interruptions will be more diversified, but the combo itself does play into some hand traps a little bit worse, specifically Nibiru, and we will discuss that as we go. We are going to start things off by normal summoning out the Ash, and same as always, Ash searches Poplar, Poplar summons itself, and on summon it adds us our copy of Divine Temple. We can go ahead and activate our Divine Temple, of course allowing us to place the Snake Eyes Diabellstar into our spell and trap zone, and then we can use the Snake Eye Ash effect to send itself and the Diabellstar, summoning out the Oak from our deck. Here we are going to activate the Oak effect, allowing us to reborn out our Ash, and now this is where it gets a little bit dicey because it is a little bit susceptible to Nibiru at the start. It plays through it a little bit better later on, but then again becomes susceptible to it again. Whereas in the previous combo we used Oak immediately, here we are not doing that just yet because we want to leave the field spell live. We are going to link off the Ash and the Poplar. This is of course going to go into our copy of Moon of the Closed Heaven. Activating the Poplar effect, this will allow allow us to place our Snake Eyes Diabellstar back into our spell trap zone, and then we continue on with the Fiendsmith line of plays. Using the Moon, we will go ahead and link into our Requiem, and Requiem will use its effect tributing itself to summon out our copy of Engraver. Here we will use the Engraver, or rather the Requiem equipping it to the Engraver, and now we have a free material to use for the Oak effect. We can go ahead and use the Oak, sending itself and the Requiem. This is going to summon out our copy of Flamberge Dragon. So now we are again no longer susceptible to Nibiru, but that is only temporary. Here we can use the effect of the Snake Eyes Diabellstar, targeting the Oak, placing it in our spell trap zone, to summon itself back out, and then what that's going to do is allow us to actually utilize the temple that we got rid of in the previous combo. So now if they Nibiru us, we will have additional bodies as well, plus the effect of the Flamberge, and it just kind of lets you extend further. But now what we will do is we are going to go ahead and link off the Engraver into the Snake Eyes, and the Snake Eyes Diabellstar into the copy of Fiendsmith sequence. Now this is a weird spot to be in because they don't want you to resolve the sequence, but they also don't want to Nibiru you under the Flamberge, so they kind of have to make a choice here. But we are going to just go ahead and use the effect of Fiendsmith sequence. That is going to shuffle back the Engraver, the Requiem, and the Closed Heaven. And of course, that is the materials required for the fusion summon of Desiree. So now we have Desiree on our side of the field. Unfortunately, it's not live just yet, but we will go ahead and change that. We're going to go ahead and, using the sequence and the Flamberge Dragon, we will link those off into our Promethean Princess, and that of course activates the effect of Flamberge Dragon to summon back 2 of our level 1s. In this case, it will be the Ash and the Poplar. So now we are susceptible to Nibiru again, but keep in mind that we do have the effect of the Divine Temple to reborn the Oak, and so we won't really just end on nothing. We will still have a lackluster board, but it's better than nothing, right? So now we can go ahead and use the effect of the Promethean Princess, going and reborning out our Flamberge Dragon, and now we need to get out of our Firelock. But how can we do that in the most optimal way? Using the Graveyard effect of the Fiendsmith sequence, we can go ahead and equip it to our Fiendsmith Desiree, and now Desiree has negates that are live, so we can go ahead and use its effect, making the Promethean Princess no longer Firelock us by negating its effect, meaning that we can take our Poplar and our Ash and link those off into a copy of IP Masquerena. We can take the IP Masquerena and our Promethean Princess, link both away into our copy of Silhouhat Rabbit, activating the Silhouhat Rabbit's effect on summon to set the Angel Statue Azaroon from our deck to our side of the field. And the final move for our turn, we still not have used the Flamberge effect, so we will use its effect to place the IP Masquerena back into the Spell and Trap zone, meaning that we now have essentially 7 interruptions. We have 2 negates off of our Desiree, we have a Spell Trap pop off of the Silhouhat Rabbit when we summon the Azaroon with the Azaroon's effect, not to mention once the Azaroon hits the field, it is also a special summon negate as well. Of course, we have the Temple and the Flamberge to summon back out our Oak and our IP. IP, of course, being able to link the Flamberge into something like an SP for 2 additional negates, as well as giving us the guaranteed follow-up off of Flamberge, again summoning out the Poplar and the Ash, and on top of all that, the Princess is still live and grave for an additional destruction as well, and that leaves 4 cards in our hand on top of all of that. So what do we think? Now, a lot of people are hating on this ban list. It is definitely a very controversial one because they wanted specifically this deck to die, and as I just showed you, this deck is far from dead. I would say that an over 80% chance to still set up both of those boards is absolutely incredible and definitely still keeps this deck on top of the meta. But if you enjoyed the deck, obviously I still wanted to make sure you guys were aware of how you can pilot it now with these consistency hits that we have in play. So you guys know the deal. If you like the video, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends. Do not forget to check out the channel sponsor Dueling Guard using my code INSANE18 or the link in the description down below. You can get 5% off your entire order as well as help support the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.